Friends, let's go ahead and begin our beautiful practice today. And what I'd like to do is remind everybody that the theme for this month in the Spokane Sangha is working with grief. And this is grief, of course, related to the loss of a loved one, a pet, or a family member, or a friend. However, we are expanding this concept to include the grief that comes with um, losing a dream, letting go of a job or a relationship, even grieving habit energy. Some kind of habit that at one time was positively serving. Um, it helped numb pain that at the time we didn't have the skill set or the tools to be able to be with. And so we turned to some kind of habit energy. Maybe it was in the form of a substance, maybe it was in the form of food or shopping or scrolling on social media. Regardless of how we cope, we turn to this habit energy, and it provided for a time the soothing that we needed until it didn't. And then we've had to learn new skills and finely tune new tools, and we grieve that habit energy. And so it's a tricky territory to explore, but it's worth exploring because what we are endeavoring to do in our practice today is to become whole, to really improve and increase our capacity to hold things that are positive, negative, neutral. I'd like to invite the chime to sing, and that is a nice way to call us into this reflective practice. Welcome, everyone. This is Recovery Dharma. My name is Julia. I'm one of the facilitators of our beautiful, beautiful community in this wonderful practice. And I'd like to encourage you all today to find a posture in your body that feels nice and relaxed. I'd also like you to put the body in a posture in such a way that the heart is open, soft. And I don't want you to put any pressure on yourself if the heart feels tender and maybe a little bit shielded or armored. If you're new here, to have an open, soft heart can be a little bit too vulnerable. We haven't earned that trust yet, and that's okay. Or maybe you're just in a mood today where you need to feel a little bit more sheltered in the heart, and that's okay. Just bring your awareness to the level of the heart and see if you can provide yourself a little bit of care, a little bit of nurturance. I'd like to set the intention of our practice today with a sentiment of metta, loving kindness. And this one reads, may your afflicted mind soften in the care of your loving heart. May your afflicted mind soften in the care of your loving heart. Grief is a tender, tender topic. And we live in a culture in the West that has not done a very good job, in my opinion, in creating spaces to allow someone a broad landscape to grieve. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross was very famous for having cultivated 5 stages of grief. And it was mostly done at a time she studied death and dying in human beings, and she determined these psychological stages. And wouldn't you know, in a Western mind that is highly dualistic, highly black and white in its thinking, immediately put these stages in a linear fashion. You go through anger, and then you bargain, and then you're depressed, and then you have acceptance, and so on and so on. Oh, and there's denial thrown in there somewhere as well. The nature of reality, however, and the complexity of grief has shown us that the stages of grief are non-linear, and they are as vast and as tumultuous as a sea. And so to navigate grief, we really have to become storm riders. We really have to cultivate good navigational tools, a strong ethical and moral compass, a wise, compassionate heart to guide us, and a curious, open mind. It's really difficult to bear witness to people we love grieving, suffering. We want them to get on with it so we can feel more at ease. That's a very human state of being. And so in order to cultivate this capacity in ourselves and to help other people increase their capacity to bear witness to suffering, I find it very helpful to model with language. I'm in a state of grief right now. Are you in a place to help me hold my feelings? Is one of my favorite things to say. And if you're not in a place to help me hold my feelings, please say so. And it's okay. Are you in a place to help me hold my feelings? This is a gentle invitation to say to someone, are you in a place to bear witness to me? And it also gives me permission to admit I have some tender feelings. I have some vulnerable feelings that may get ugly and messy, and I need help holding it. So we practice this particular tool with people that we trust, people that we know to be reasonably skilled. You don't want to say this to just anyone because not anyone has the skill set yet. So use your discernment when you're revealing the depth and the tenderness of your grief. For our contemplative meditation today, I'd like you to contemplate the word peace as an acronym. And I'd like you to invite your body to rest in peace. I'd like your mind to rest in peace, and your heart as well. And the acronym PEACE stands for patience, encouragement, awareness, care, and ease. And for each of these letters and the words associated with them, I'd like to share with you their opposite as a way of learning how to flip that inner narrative a little bit. So, for example, when I notice that I'm not being very patient with myself or patient with my loved one, my first reaction with this awareness isn't to invite myself to be more patient. In fact, it's just the opposite. And I often growl at myself and in a very impatient tone will scold myself for lacking patience and hurry up and get with the program, Julia. There you go again, being so impatient. What's the matter with you? Yikes. Not a very restful posture for my mind, body, or spirit. And so what I'm learning to do is, wow, Julia, would you look at this? Your patience is lacking. What do you need to improve it? And that brings me to encouragement. Julia, darling, what can I do for you? How can I care for you so that you can bolster your patience on behalf of this other person or for yourself? Do you need something to eat? Would chewing a piece of Hubba Bubba bubble gum help? That's my favorite. You got this, Julia. You can do it. It's okay. Right now you're feeling a little impatient. There are some conditions going on here. Would you look at that? And then from this encouragement, awareness starts to spring forward. It's almost like these seeds have been watered and nurtured through this encouragement. And suddenly I'm like, oh, I can calm down, I can breathe, I can pause. And wouldn't you know, from that awareness comes this feeling, this motivation to care. Oh, Julia, sweetie, you're worn out. No wonder you're not patient with yourself or this other person. You're tired. The tank is getting awfully close to E. Let's maybe go for a walk or have a nice bath or have a rest. Let's listen to some meditation or music. And then from there, ease descends. And then patience and peace are restored. And each and every one of us, not only do we have the capacity for all of this, it is inherent to our good nature. This is who you are. Rest in peace. Patience with yourself, even when you're impatient, even when you're engaged in habit energy. Come back to encouragement. Be your own cheerleader. Allow your encouragement to stir your wise awareness. Allow your awareness to guide you toward all the ways you are naturally caring and nurturing. And may this wrap around you in a warm, secure embrace that allows so much ease to the body and mind. Rest in peace as you grieve. Friends, Thich Nhat Hanh used to teach that the heart is like a garden. And in the garden of one's heart, there is a riot of color and texture. There's all manner of weather, sunshine and storm, soft, beautiful flowers, some silky, others prickly and thorny. And in the garden of the heart is the capacity to hold whatever we must as human beings, from the greatest joy to the depths of sorrow. And one of my favorite lines of a teaching from Thich Nhat Hanh is, in the garden of your heart, the flowers of you bloom beautifully. But I'd like to go ahead and end our practice today bringing forward Shantideva. So for those of you who are not familiar with Shantideva's work, 8th century monk, radical. I would have totally loved to have hung out with Shantideva because he literally was like, "Arr," to the establishment and to the schooling at the time, which I just love about him. And he just wrote some of the most amazing um, philosophy, and he really has brought forward and into our consciousness this whole notion of a bodhisattva. And one of the things that Shantideva is very clear and encouraging is that as spiritual warriors, we're not here to become so spiritual that we're less and less human. We're just becoming more spiritual so that we can put aside all of this pesky, messy human business. Shantideva was like, roll your sleeves up, let's just be better humans and use these spiritual practices to elevate the humanity within us, and by extension, to elevate the humanity of one another. So I'd like to end our practice with a very famous Shantideva prayer. This is just the last stanza of it, and I encourage you to just close your eyes and allow these words to ring somewhere in the mind and in the heart, find some harmony between the two. For as long as living beings remain, for as long as suffering exists, may I too remain to dispel the misery of the world. Moment to moment to moment, may your peace help dispel misery within you and by extension, the world itself. You are that powerful, that magnificent. To the sacredness of this holy journey, I bow deeply. Namaste.